One of your homeworks was to tell me about what you think should be in that sample letter. In other words, as we send a letter, to ask for people to give us their tax-free contribution toward Highland Lake for some purpose. Has anybody had any thoughts on that? Pat had some thoughts last month about how we could earmark maybe benches or trees or entryway decorations or beautification projects or things like that. Has anybody got anything specific on that?
Well, you know, I had put down on the earmarks, you know, and I don't know how elaborate you want to get them, but obviously fish stocking would be one, plant treatments could be another one. Plant treatment, if we do some herbicide treatment on the lake, you know, maybe we need help with that, maybe somebody wants to help with it. We have park improvements, which can include benches or picnic tables or what have you. There could be community entrance improvements, you had that on the slate. Raft improvements. And then maybe community events, maybe somebody wants to sponsor a community event, you know, for with that money. I also had naming rights, which you talked about, if we wanted to do something with the parks, but I can't really say that I'm for that idea. I kind of like how the parks are now, especially the Chicken Downey Park. And then, you know, maybe the awards, maybe somebody sponsors our awards, you know, that they could use that money for. But the main thing is all that, you know, if somebody does present it, or say, hey, I'd like to use this money for something, at least we would make it a board approval type thing, you know.
Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to recheck with my financial advisor to make sure we're okay and legal to send that out. Then I'm going to have, maybe I'll have Marilyn send out the letter. Be the signatory on the letter, because I don't want the president to be on that. But one person. And then can we get lists, an up-to-date mailing list so we can put labels on it, addresses? I'm going to write that and give that to you for your input. I mean, don't ignore it now. I mean, look at it, read it, and say, okay. All right? Okay.
Another thing I think we need to do too, Larry, is try to make this letter simple for people. Because the last thing people want to do is worry about tracking down somebody to get the money to them. You know, where do I put the money? Where do I go? Got to make it simple, like just like putting money to save a pet or something. If we can do that, then I think people will be much more apt to donate money if they know it's going to be easy. So make sure there's something in that letter.
Can we connect a PayPal account to our account?
Should be able to.
Can we connect a PayPal so we can take contributions as well as dues and what have you by PayPal?
Oh, I'm sure we should.
Yeah.
She doesn't want to do it though.
That would be, I think, very easy.
Yeah, the next treasurer, which by the way, we are looking for a new treasurer. So.
Oh, I can't volunteer for you.
Ann can't leave.
I know. She's the only one with brains up here.
I gotta volunteer for you.
Well,
Well, let me tell you her credentials.
Does she know how to do PayPal?
Controller, Travelers Aid Society when she was 24 years old.
Tax.
Assistant controller for
Contributions.
Yes.
Vote for Kay.
No.
I'll make 400 meatballs, but I will not be treasurer.
Wait a minute, I cooked them. Wait, who fried all
we'll
the
have a discussion. I'll charge
I
the
fried
dinner
them.
to the association.
Who went and got everything?
Fred, you said something I couldn't understand.
I just wanted to make sure that you were talking tax deductible contributions.
Yes.
And you guys are non-profit,
Yeah,
so
I
I
want
don't
to
have a
make
problem
sure
with my
I
tax
got the basic
preparer.
parameters.
You're a 501c.
Right. I got the basic parameters from my accountant last year, and it basically, if you are, you are, and we are. And as far as the receipting of if the gift is $250 or more, we must give that a receipt. And it can be, you know, $250 less. We don't have to. And people can claim it on their tax return. That's something that has to be taken up. We can't give that advice. We have to say, okay, talk about it with your tax advisor so that we don't make any mistakes with you.
Everyone's different.
But like I said, I have seen at least one $20,000 gift come out of this community and go to the Lake County Forest Preserve District when I was a commissioner. And we didn't know what to do with it, because our budget was 3 million or whatever it was, didn't know what to do with it. And so, I learned a lesson from that. And so they hired, a director of development who did nothing but that. And it turned into an extra $1 million or $2 million a year for different projects, restorations, reforestations, development, and things like that. And once in a while, park district kind of things like benches and picnic tables and stuff like that. So I will put it together for your approval, and then I'll have to do a poll to get your permission to send it out. At which time I'll ask maybe Marilyn to help me on it, just some basically kind of to monitor it, okay? So, we don't need to vote on, do you want to vote on that? Give me a motion, John, second by Don, all in favor, say goodbye. Aye. Aye. Okay, public comment, anybody want to stand up and say something?
Back to what you were just talking about. I'm thinking that you may want to leave it where if they don't have a specific purpose, but they want to donate towards the community or that, they still allow the board to determine where that money goes. Otherwise, they state specifically where they
In the
want
general
it.
fund.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, it's a good suggestion that people can make just a general fund contribution. And if they want to say, give us $500, put it somewhere where you need it, and then we may do some picnic tables or something like that, a shrubbery, or I particularly want, for me, my own personal desire is I like to see the entryways, like the posts sandblasted and the gates painted, and some cascading flowers or something. It has to be completely non-maintenance, But that's kind of like what I like, that. But we'll see how that goes. We'll see what happens. You might be surprised. Okay. Any comments from the vice presidents? Speak now or forever hold your peace. All right.
I got questions. I don't have any comments.
What?
I got questions.
Oh, okay.
Is there time for that? Or
That's it.
No
All
problem.
right. Well, I forgot to introduce myself
You
earlier.
have to
Sorry.
introduce yourself.
I'm Justin DeMars. I live with April Samuels in Joe Bedelke's house.
We're all connected.
A couple things. Fishing. Not big into it. Would like to this winter. I got buddies with shanties, I believe they're called. All kinds of good stuff. Are those things you can leave on the ice for, say, the weekend, or you take them off each and every time? Because it's like a 9-man shanty.
It's kind of loosely enforced, but the rule calls for it to come off the lake. So if you can pull it to shore.
Okay. I like that idea.
Yeah. I mean,
It's just the whole disassemble thing. Just literally, I didn't want ice fish when I thought about it. Like, I'm good.
Yeah, we have a lot of ice fishing.
All right, great. And how is the ice fishing?
Northern pike fishing is fantastic.
Yeah.
You can't eat those, right?
Yep.
You
We'll be
can't
talking about the rules. They're very good eating.
Yeah, stick around because we're gonna apply.
Real
some-
bony, though, isn't it? Isn't it real bony or something?
Yeah, it can be bony. You just gotta learn how to boneless fillet.
How do you get the hook out of that mouth? You don't, do you?
Oh, it's easy.
Boy,
Go around.
I'm sticking my hand near that.
Or Ron Sigmund, he'll help you too.
All right.
I live on the
He's
dead end
kind
right
of a
down
phony
from
fillet
you.
himself.
Any questions you got? I'm retired, I'm there all the time, you come over and.
Great. Yeah, I got a lot of questions about fishing. Again, it's not some. My buddy did abuse Highland Lake. He came over with his brother, and they were in our paddle boat, and they found every perfect spot. So he has yet to show me where they're at.
That's great.
So, we'll be in competition next
Now
year.
that you live here and you pay your dues, it's okay. I like that.
And as far as helping the community, benches, whatnot, I can get around power tools, wood, whatnot. So, if, point the right fingers, I'll talk to whoever, and I'll try to help out as much as I can.
Good.
Yeah.
We had a little bit of damage down in Chick Park by kids who got a little exuberant. So the bench that I think it was Israel made was broken off. So if you want to just go down there and put a 2x8 or something like that on that bench.
Chick Park, is that the one right by us?
Yeah.
Okay, again, I have to learn a lot more about the,
I'll
we
tell
really
you.
procrastinated meeting everybody, and I just sit up in the house a lot.
Well, I see. Next year you get a medal for doing that. See.
I don't need recognition, I just don't want a splinter in my butt when I sit on it.
You got sandpaper?
All right. Well, I look forward to meeting everybody, over the year, and hopefully years we're here. But fishing, I'll be hitting you up for that one there. Bud.
Okay.
All right there. It's yeah, pleasure to meet everyone I did.
Yeah, and make sure you get involved in Carp Fest too, because we have the winning team, by the way.
You know, we just moved in when you guys did it, and I didn't have time to, I literally didn't even get my reel out or anything. So I didn't make that one, but I'll make it this year.
Good. It's in the effort too.
Cool.
Don't go to Larry for fishing lessons.
That's for sure.
Some people have it and some people don't. I'm not one of those don'ts.
Let's not talk about
Okay,
it.
public comment, additions to the agenda.
I think
Yeah.
we should have that.
I wanna,
happen.
yeah, I wanna put on the agenda the path issue. So strap in and let's go.
Oh, now?
Yeah, let's do it right now.
Okay, at the last meeting a month ago, I indicated that Linda at that time said she didn't intend to close down the path at any time. They couldn't sell us the land of the pathway since there's a mortgage on the property. And most of this conversation came from her attorney, Joel Lunke. He said that she wasn't comfortable granting a permanent easement at this time, but would at a later date. So we had decided it was fine, we're just going to put it out to bed and see what happens. If anything happened at a later date, then we would address it. Well, I did get an email from Dolly. Incidentally, I have tried to contact her attorney. Last call didn't put place today. I was unsuccessful. He has not returned my call. I do not know if he's still active or if he is not. Anyway, she indicates here, Don, here are the miscellaneous emails, notes I wrote up for Joel, that's her attorney, regarding the path. And she says agreement. We would like the agreement that the Avon Highway people agree to not plow snow into a huge pile in front of the path or our driveway anymore. It was a mess last year. I do know we had a big storm, but they had other alternatives. Well, I don't see how we can control the Avon Township's snow plowing. And she says, I personally know because I plowed snow many years ago. Instead, they could pull the snow from the path down to Hickory, the first street. Then push it down Hickory where there is a lot of open space and no home at the east end of that dead end. We will, paragraph, we will want the association to please continue to maintain the path. Shovel the snow, fix the fence if it breaks, due to the path goers, take down any trees with our agreement that become dead, and gravel if need be, not asphalt that would hurt trees. Help remove large tree limbs if necessary. There is one very large tree that is so and may need to come down eventually. We would want the association to take down that tree at their expense and with our agreement if need be. The former Avon guy, Pat Anderson, was going to take the tree down, I believe, at his expense. I think the tree is okay right now, but prior years it had a lot of leaves, which sometimes indicates, a lot of beads, which sometimes indicates that it is dying. Any lights that the association considers along the path, we would want to be part of that decision and final approval. There was some talk about that a while back. We would not want obnoxious lights or super bright. We would also like to be exempt from paying the yearly association dues of $100, and if so, it should be showed as paid. We will be paying the taxes and more insurance on this land that someone uses, so this seems quite fair to me. Plus, we designed a circular driveway that is very costly to construct and maintain, so people who backed out of the driveway would be much less likely to hit runners, bikers, and walkers that frequent the path. In other words, she's indicating that she designed a circular driveway so anyone exiting her house won't hit anybody on the path. Attached is the lowest fence proposal we have. Not sure we want picket fence. Instead, the shadow box, which would be more, but adds more privacy. If the association would do the installation, there is money to be saved. might want to remind them that we personally would still want to landscape around the fence, and that would be our expense. I am still fuzzy about the insurance. My broker says they cannot insure us, so wants to see the policy. We would need to make sure that that part is totally covered. Oh, and any expense on our part to write the agreement, and your fees, Joel, should be covered by the association, don't you think? That means the attorney. Lastly, the agreement would need to include that the association would never force an easement on us or anyone who lived here once this agreement was in place. Let me know what you think of all of this. Thanks, Linda.
You really don't
And she
want
says,
that.
please,
I volunteered to set up a live
thought.
trap for her. And I'll relocate her.
I have a question. Wait, Don. Is there any more?
Another possible thought, 100 emerald green 3+ foot arborvitaes out of PA for $20 each delivered, which is a steal. I thought this instead of the fence might be an option too. Only concern of mine is mosquitoes. I was told they attract them. We or they could then rent a piece of equipment of some kind and alert them all at once fairly easy.
The mosquitoes? It's this way. I got two things to say. I gotta say this.
She's closer to you, Andy.
No, she's closer to you.
She moved away from me.
I don't want her, take her.
Okay, next item. Priority, lake health, we're not gonna discuss that.
What? No, there, I got one question.
Okay.
Next time you talk to her, make it next year, ask her how much she wants for the house and everything. Just ask her.
A lot less than.
I do have something else to discuss.
She won half a
Very
million.
quickly.
That's okay, that's fine.
If remember, we did not
Worth it.
have our insurance policies.
Right.
Okay, our liability policy, in all fairness, I do think that the Darling should be named, as I said, as additional insured on our policy is regarding that pathway only. That's just more than reasonable. I did contact our insurer. I've got a copy of our policy. It's effective July 20th, 2011 to July 20th, 2012. That's our current policy. Also, I try to run down our officers and directors policy, because there I had no idea who insured us. So I made a call John Murphy, and he said that he thinks it was emailed to him, the policy. And I said, well, find and email it to me, which he did. I have a policy of our officers and directors policy. I do have one question on this. I noticed this policy is dated July 17th, 2010 to July 17th, 2013. So this is a 3-year policy with an annual premium of $1,300 and 3-year premium, of course, of $3,900. I was going to ask Ann if she remembers if we paid the $1,300 or the $3,900, because this could affect our budget.
I can sure tell you.
We paid 13.
13? Okay, then that's fine.
Yeah.
If we paid the 13, then we paid for 1
Right.
year. Because this could be paid either way, 1 year or,
Right.
3 years. So if we paid it 3 years, then we would have some extra money.
Yeah, no, we,
Paid it,
3 years, they should give you a discount.
My memory serves me correctly, it was in July,
Right.
third Monday, we could check.
I think it was $1,300, I think,
Because I remember, or I know if it was 39, I would question it.
Right,
I
right.
knew the sum total was 39. And we'll discuss that even further as we get into next year. You know, that may or may not be a necessary expense, but that's, you know, that's a matter for discussion.
see, what I'm going to do is this liability policy, I'm going to keep for the next week or so to get that document. executed and made up and forwarded to Dowlings. Then I'm going to give our general liability and this director's policy to you for safekeeping.
Yeah, okay.
Because this is our
I've
own
got
policy.
the rest of the, I've got all the archives now, safely stored in my home. And ultimately, we'll get that all digitized, but right now it's stack left and stack right, but I'll put that in stack left.
Okay, so in the meantime, I will be custodian of it for,
Why don't you just hold on to it until we get our storage records kind of straightened out.
okay, I will, as long as everybody knows I have it.
Yeah, let's do that. Okay, thank you again. Give him another award. No, that's really the
He
reason
needs
why.
an award just to deal with Dowling.
We'll have a deal with Dowling Award next year. I know this is all on tape. I'm in big trouble. Okay, let's see, Lake Health. Mr. Coulter, how are you, sir?
Well,
we
I'm
have-
not healthy, but the lake is. I got a cold.
What we're interested in here is looking at the strategy in 2012 to control invasives. And I know that you had some thoughts on that. If you can capsulize that, please.
Well, we're going to see if we can get through another year and perhaps even more with this spot treatment strategy. The Eurasian milfoil, which is really what we're going after, we're not really worried about anything else. Eurasian milfoil is a invasive broadleaf submerged plant, and which would be very similar to any invasive broadleaf on the dry ground plant, like a dandelion. And so it responds very, very it's very effectively treated with 2,4-D. And I have found an herbicide called Navigate, which is a kind of a engineered, refined version of 2,4-D designed specifically for this application. And my only problem this last year was we didn't do it early enough and probably frequently enough, but in talking with the people that make this product and with other people, I have very high hopes that we can really reduce the milfoil, which has started to come back with a vengeance. And we're going to have our hands full next year. If I feel as though we're not making progress fast enough, soon enough, I will advise the board that we need to possibly take another course of action. However, we may not have that option next year, because if we go back to a sonar or a sonar type product, Floridone is the generic name, you really have to get that in early, and you have to do it incrementally, but starting in probably late March, early April. It's water temperature related and sunlight related. So you treat it, you treat the pond April, May, and June, let's say, and probably be done with it then. I probably won't know how well the Navigate's working until June. So we may end up, it's a little bit of a risk. I feel as though it's worth it. We have some legal issues trying to do full lake with people who do own lake bottom and not being, some may not wanting to allow us to do full lake treatment. We also have concerns about our previous experiences with a full lake treatment, which I felt had some downsides. There were a lot of upsides, but there were some downsides. So I want us to approach a full lake treatment very cautiously, and it's expensive. The prices have gone up. I think a full lake treatment using Floridone now would be in at least the $12,000 range. And we're going to try to get by with a lot less. You can do a full lake treatment with Navigate, the product that I'm going to offer for us to suggest we use, but it's not really practical because the logistics get too crazy. But so we do have the option, if we do get like a little over our heads and don't get enough of it done soon enough, we can go back with the Navigate and keep treating it with Navigate and probably get through 2012. Okay. My goal is to get it under control. Talk to, there's a test lake where Navigate's being used up in the Upper Peninsula in the Ottawa National Forest. It's a large lake, and they're doing a bay that's about the size of our lake. And they have reduced the percentage of Eurasian milfoil from 80% to 20% in 4 years. So they're going in the right direction. And I'm not really, I think our goal should not be a 0%. I think we should be realistic about it. And if we get it down to a manageable percentage, a little bit of it isn't going to hurt anybody. And actually, it does provide some cover. It provides a lot of cover. But it's just like buckthorn. And I deal with that all the time. You don't have to totally eradicate buckthorn. You have to keep it under control. And that's what we can do with this lake, I
Is
believe.
there, anybody have any questions of Dave on that issue?
I would like to say one more thing. I think there's a lot of opportunities for property owners who live around the lake to participate. This stuff can be hand weeded. You walk out up to about your waist without even, and you don't even have to get your head in the water. You can reach down and grab it and pull it out and get it on shore. It spreads through fragmentation, and it spreads of its own volition. So if you break a piece off, you got to grab it and get it out of the water. If everybody does that around the lake, and you get out to like 4 feet or 5 feet out, that helps me enormously, because it's very time-consuming working around these docks and getting in close. And with Navigate, it's much better if I can be out 30, 40 feet out. I don't think any piers go out that far, and then you can just go, cover these little beds very quickly. And I think we would have a much better chance of getting this thing under control if we had property owner participation. And you don't need to use an herbicide. All you need to do is pull it out.
Fred?
I just want to know, is it easily identified? Can the average person identify it or that? Or should we throw a picture out at someplace?
Yeah, I mean, we have a program out on the website. If you go to the
There is, okay.
to the in fact, it's a yes or no. And there's a test at the end. I narrate it. So I mean, we have a lot of stuff on it. But the main thing is the pink stalks seem to really stick out at me. When you see this thing, it's got a pink stalk going right up from the bottom to the top, and that's,
Once you know what it looks like, it just pops right. You'll see
I'd
it.
be
It's like,
hesitant about pulling a good plant out.
yeah.
But once you see it,
Once you know what it is, it's like looking for a weeping willow, and it looks like it doesn't look like any other tree. This stuff doesn't look like any other plant.
Well, I know I'm going to really work on it, because I've got some of it around my pier too. So
it's everywhere in the lake
yeah,
there.
and I think it gets down to that, the use of the community site, hlcommunitysite.com. And in the business of communication, which is what I've been doing all my life, is that the hardest thing in the world is, there are people who just don't know what they're missing. And I know it's a cliche, but there is a significant amount of people on this lake, in our community, who don't know what they're missing. And the only thing we do is just constantly remind them to get into the site, because that's really the cornerstone of our communications now. And I mean, the highlights is kind of limping along, and I think we're just letting it go. I don't know. But this is critical, because it's a $5,000 deal working on it like it is. It's a $10,000 deal if we do a whole lake. And times are no good right now. People are in big trouble all over around our lake. People are suffering. One of the reasons why our dues are flat. And I don't mind that one bit, because people have priorities. As they're very self-conscious, we haven't paid our business, and nobody's noticed that. But so we've got to be very careful with the stewardship of the money. And
just to the point of how difficult it is to communicate to people what they're missing. Tying in with your idea of each little neighborhood adopting a fire hydrant.
Right.
Is it possible each little neighborhood could adopt a week out of a month to put up a little sign that says, remember HL community website at da-da-da, and put it out for a week like we do leading up to,
You sure you don't want to be on the board?
the meeting, for example?
well, it is on the bottom.
Sure.
It is on the bottom of our signs.
Yeah, it is. Well, it's just all I can say is just, I don't want to get off on that subject.
There's ways to raise consciousness of it.
Dave is on track. I support, and I know, please, stop me. I just, speaking, I think, for the consensus of the board, you're right on track. Hang in there. We need to get more people to help you.
Next year's a critical year. Any volunteer work, any volunteers I could get will be great. I don't need volunteers out in the boat as That stuff is kind of nasty, and I wear a mask and all that, but it does not. Oh, I would like to say one more thing. Do not be concerned about the safety of the lake in terms of bathing and boating and swimming and all that kind of stuff. It's a safe lake to go into. We are putting such an insignificant amount of DDT in this lake that I was trying to calculate it with a representative from 2,4-D. What did I say?
Difference.
DDT.
It's not DDT.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Yeah.
It is 2,4-D. 2,4-D is one of the it is the oldest herbicide in history. It's been tested for over 50 or 60 years. It keeps passing all these tests. It keeps getting approved for use with restrictions, of course. The amount of 2,4-D that I put in the lake last year, which was, I think, 8 bags or something like that, it's about 300 pounds or something, 400 pounds, I can't remember what it was. They couldn't calculate the small amount. It raised the level of toxicity in the water. They could not calculate it. It was decimal point and a whole bunch of zeros. So, yeah, and even if we do a more aggressive plan this next year, which we will, we won't get close to a number that anybody has to worry about. It's going to be,
Well,
and I will address that on an ongoing basis.
I know Sonnenberg has got his stuff together on this too, but I don't want everybody to get loaded down. And if you, maybe you'd like to help out with Justin, and you know, it's just kind of like we need somebody down on our shore, you know, and that kind of thing, and others. Let's do a little bit of recruiting as officers. Let's do a little bit of recruiting. Get 1 or 2 people to help, you know, put the eyes on the lake, you know, because, okay, Dave, thank you so much.
Yeah.
I got goosebumps looking at the Highland Lake Community Site last week when I saw all those darling little baby walleyes and muskies.
Northern.
Northern.
See, he doesn't know much about fishing.
I don't know.
They were fish.
They were cute little bastards,
They don't
I'll tell you.
The muskies died on it,
Yeah.
he couldn't deliver.
Yeah, and who wants